All right, what's up?
What's up?
What's up, party people?
What's going on? What's going on?
Now, it's been a while since we had our dear friend John on the podcast, mentor, friend, and here he is again.
What's up, guys?
Yeah.
How you doing?
So, yeah, John, I guess we'll go straight into it. But first, let me ask you, how are you, man? Are you good?
Yeah, I've been doing well. Bro. Life's been a bit cruisy lately. I think there hasn't been too much going on. I think work's just been work. Just been hanging out with a couple of people, that's all. Nothing too big. Nothing huge happening.
Yeah, I mean, that's how it is, right?
That's what it is.
I mean, sometimes that's kind of good.
Oh, yeah. You know what? Honestly, in this season of my life, a bit of quiet is honestly quite good. It's nice not to have surprises here and there or just massive events that you have to keep up with.
Yeah.
Sometimes a bit of quiet and going smooth is actually nice. So, yeah, I'm enjoying it.
That's awesome, bro. Also, another thing you guys might have noticed is that the setting is a bit different. This is actually John's house, and I requested that we have it here because this couch is very unique. So it's quite cool.
It's very you, bro. It's very you. It's
have a look at it.
It's
what is it? What is this?
Strange couch,
but it's cool. It's like
it is a mid-century modern piece. Actually, I think that's what the term is.
Wow, I don't even know what that is. Honestly, are you the type of person to do your research into, I guess, the history or why it's made that way before you buy it, or are you just like, it looks good?
Yeah, it's honestly for me, it's more just looks good.
Yes, yeah.
But if it's got a bit of history behind it, then it's nice.
Yeah,
why not, right? Yeah. That's pretty much what it is.
That's true. And people walk in and then they're like, "What is that?"
You want a statement piece. You want someone to walk into a room and go like, "Well, that's cool." It draws their attention to a certain part of the room. So eventually, we can have paintings behind here that will help to increase the statement factor of a room.
Right. Yeah.
I guess is what we were going for. But yeah.
Oh, very, very cool. Very cool. So yeah, thank you again for
anytime, bro.
Letting me come out here and film. And 1 second, I'm gonna check to make sure that it's recording because last time I didn't click record. So we're good.
We're good. We are
guys.
good.
We're good, guys. All right, cool. Like literally the last episode.
Yeah, because there was no video. I remember that.
That was such a shame.
That's rough.
Yeah. Anyways. So the last time we met up, or like the first couple of not first, but the other few times we met up or whenever, there was always something that you spoke about that is very close to your heart, and I just thought that we should unpack that and talk about it a bit more.
Sure.
And this is the topic that follows through with friendship, right? And it's not just like friendships about like toxic relationships or anything like that. It's more like, I guess in a way, it's like chivalry isn't dead kind of vibe, but with friends, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe like.
All right. I'll
just go off and.
Okay. Yeah. Sure. We'll see where it goes. Okay.
Yeah.
So when I meet up with Jairo, we always somehow land on this topic of friendship, and it's not because Jairo's not a good friend or whatever. And on the contrary, it's because I always usually start by saying this guy is actually a really good friend.
Okay.
And it's but it's something that I feel is missing nowadays. The quality of friendship, and it's not like a young people thing. It's not an old people thing. That's not really where I'm going with this. It's more just like. Something I've noticed nowadays is that people really struggle with the quality of friendship in their lives. And I think I've been quite blessed in my life because I haven't really had too many. I'm actually surrounded by some solid friends, like some really good friends, some friends that would have my back, like no matter what. These are the kind of people that, you can rely on. And some of them, the best part is we know this. We don't really need to enact it all the time. So I don't really message them a whole lot. It's not like we're talking on the phone every single day, like messages every minute. But I know that if I'm in a sticky situation and I give them a ring, they're the first people to come out and help. So for example, right, I know that I've shared on this podcast before that I had a struggle with mental health. And one of the things that I was told to do was to develop a panic button. So like a panic button is a group of people that you can reach out to if anything goes wrong, if anything goes bad. So I have a group. Look, I think we'll keep identities kind of under wrap. We'll keep identities under wrap. Yeah, okay. We'll keep identities under wrap. But I do have a panic button. It's a group. It's one of my pinned WhatsApp chats. It's just 2 people in that chat, and anytime something goes, bit south, I'm not feeling too well, something's happening, or I can feel, it's really not going to be a great day, I always prep them. So I just message a chat and go like, hey guys, just letting you know something might be up. Or if I know something's happening, then I just say, something's happened, that kind of thing. And these guys, like, not even joking when I say this, have taken off like work before, like in the middle of the day kind of thing, or like come to deliver food, or come to like, give me stuff, keep messaging, calling, making sure that I'm okay. Like it's good quality kind of friendships. It's not even something that I have to act as if, I feel bad doing it. These are the kind of guys who are like, look, we'll be more offended if you don't tell us what's going on in your life. People who genuinely care. And one of my, another one of my good mates from high school, is like a brother to me. We grew up together. We went to like primary school and not even primary school. We went to kindy together. So I've known him since I was like, 5 years old. And he's also the kind of guy, right? We don't chat for like months at a time, like literally months at a time. But when something happens, like he'll message or I'll message or something, and it's like we're always there. It's just an unspoken understanding. Like this guy will come around and beat up whoever's kind of like, on my tail or whatever. And it's like no questions asked. It's these kind of friendships that I'm talking about. Like really no questions asked. You don't need to explain. These are the kind of guys who keep me straight. These are the kind of guys who keep me honest as well. They're the kind of guys who keep challenging me to be the best person that I can possibly be, and that challenge me to do things that are greater than what I'm thinking of, because they're just like, well, you can do it. We just don't know why you keep doubting yourself, right? Yeah. And a lot of the success that I've seen in my life, whether it's in ministry, or actually in the marketplace. I don't know if I've updated, these guys with I've got kind of like a job with a mining service provider at the moment. So I'm working in that job as well. And, I've got a lot of good mates there who just tell me you should do it, like go for it. And basically what I'm trying to get at is like, I've got friends in my life who I know, when push comes to shove, these guys are there for me. Like no questions asked. No, you don't need to explain. You don't need to qualify it with anything. They'll do anything to help me with. And it's a small circle. I'm not saying that every friend I have is like this, but I guess that's how the discussion arose, because I was chatting to a couple of people and they were just like, you're lucky, like you're really lucky. The person I was talking to, again, shall remain nameless. It's just like, like I don't know if I have that. I don't know if I've got friends, and it just led me to believe, or led me to think rather, like, is that dying out? Is that something that's not valid? Like, not so prevalent anymore in like this kind of day and age. And again, it's not an age thing. It's not like if you're old, then you'd have these friends in the younger generation. It's not an old man rant kind of thing. But it's just kind of me wondering, like, are friendships cheapening nowadays? Is something happening to them? I don't know. That's kind of where I'm coming from.
And that's what we're going to unpack, hey?
Right, yeah.
But before we go into that, when you talk about the panic button, because people that may be watching will see you as like Pastor John, they don't see you as a human being sometimes. This guy's a holy of holies, he's wearing sandals everywhere, kind of thing. Man. So like, can we confirm that these people are real and not just Jesus and the Holy Spirit?
No, these people are real, man. These are not Jesus and the Holy Spirit, bro. No,
they're just as human as us, okay?
Real people, man. Real people.
I like to emphasize that,
100%.
Everyone's human, right?
Everyone's human. And I mean, I would go so far as to say that I think whether, like, it's not about mental illness. I think everyone needs a panic button, right? Like, who's your panic button in that sense? Like, do you have a group of people that you just reflexively rely on? That's kind of what I'm talking about in that sense, right? These kind of people, you don't need to be, you've gone way past the point of being ashamed. I'm like, I feel bad. Maybe I shouldn't bother them. It's like, no, I'm just gonna. They need to know. They need to know everything, right? And because they care and they genuinely want to know, it's like these are the top level of friends that I'm talking about. These are the kind of guys that would like fight with you, die with you. You know what I mean? Like all that kind of stuff. That's what I'm talking about. I think everyone needs a panic button. To be honest with you,
it's true. Yeah,
I don't think it's just people who suffer mental health. Who like what are you really?
Everyone lives life. Everyone goes through struggles and problems and whatnot. We all need that panic button, like you said.
I agree. I do.
Wow. Is it more common for people not to have those kind of people? Like, I guess, like, have friends, but, no, we don't talk about that stuff.
Yeah, I think so. I feel like friendships nowadays can be I don't want to use the word shallow because I don't want to come across like I'm judging anyone. It's like, it's your friendships, right? Like, you can judge them however you want. But it does seem that a lot of people are lacking relationships that they just know they can kind of fall back on, you know? Like
Yeah.
if you were to fall back on these people, will they catch you 100 out of 100 times? You know, that's kind of what I'm going for. I haven't done the research. I'm not qualified to really super talk about this, but I guess I am qualified to wonder, right? Like when I, you know, counsel people or when I talk to people and stuff. And obviously as a pastor, I do get to interact with quite a few individuals and talk on a level like, you know, what's, you know, it's a privilege, but it's kind of like, you know, what's going on in your life? Why, you know, what are you here to talk about and stuff? And a lot of people nowadays bring up loneliness. And that's just the thing. Like loneliness it's an epidemic now. Yeah. Like it's a real epidemic. A lot of people are really struggling with loneliness now. And it came up quite suddenly. Like, was loneliness a thing when I was growing up? Yes. But it definitely was not a defining thing that, you know, I would not say that my whole, you know, teenage years were lonely. Like, no, I'm not going to say that. But yet there are people who I've talked to and counseled that will say that to me straight up. They will, what's the defining emotion of your youth? And it's loneliness. And they feel alone at school, they feel alone at work, they feel alone at church, you know, like and it's not it's not something that I would say, oh, you know, it's so common that it's like 9 out of 10 people, but I would say at least, you know, 1 out of 2 will talk about loneliness and go like, oh, that's, you know, that's definitely something that I struggle with. And so they'll move cities or they'll move countries and stuff to try and find this elusive group, you know, the Friends group, like the How I Met Your Mother group, kind of, you know, those sitcoms, right, where they all have this group of 6 or 7 people and you're just tight, like you do life together and everything like that. I'm not sure if that has built some sort of expectation, like that's what it's meant to look like. Right. That's what everyone has.
Yeah.
But I really don't know many people who have that. Like I really don't know many people who live like that at all, or who have that kind of group. So yeah, I mean it's an interesting thought, but I feel like people nowadays are just kind of lonely. I feel like people are actually, forget about the whole panic button, you know, like last ditch friendship group, but I feel like people nowadays are actually struggling just to make genuine friends.
Wow, yeah, that's true. It's weird because a lot of people, if not anything, well, the people that feel that way are surrounded by a lot of people. Yeah. But in a way, are still lonely. Yeah. And I guess for myself, I can kind of relate to that because when you mentioned moving cities, it's a thought of mine actually not long ago. So I guess it was more or less like I was surrounded by people, but then I felt like the I guess the season of life was different. All right. Yeah. So because most of my peers are in relationships or married and whatnot, so for me I couldn't really relate, or I guess they couldn't prioritize or give the time that I guess I wanted to spend with them. Yeah. So I guess like I'm not sure if it's a different type of loneliness you're referring to, but
no, that's it.
But yeah, I mean, how I got there, dude, I don't know. Like, I feel content now. Yeah. After like, you know, going through a bit of a journey and getting closer to God and stuff like that. I'm not sure what it was, but you did mention about contentment. But I feel like this may be a different conversation altogether.
Slightly different conversation. But yeah. But I mean, look, I think that what you just raised is actually pretty interesting for me. Because, I mean, you know, I know a lot of the friends that we're talking about mutually, yeah? And I know they're good people. Like,
great people.
They're great people. They're good people. And, like, I know that they've got your back, you know? Like,
100%.
I know for a fact, like, they've told me how fond they are of you and stuff like that. You know, like, these people love him. Like, and I know you're watching as well, but I know that you guys love Jaira. And yet, even then, loneliness kind of made its way in. And that's interesting for me, right? Because I'm like... It shouldn't have, or not? Okay, not it shouldn't have.
I get what you're saying.
It's not like invalidating your feelings or anything like that, but it's just saying like it's a bit of a surprise. Yes. Like I was like lonely, but you're Jaira, you know. Look at all these people surrounding you. Like all of them love you and all of them hang out with you. You guys hang out a lot and everything. And so I'm like, what loneliness? You know, like where does that come in? And I feel like that's. I mean, maybe you can answer that because I'm not really sure. Like it just kind of came out one day. Yeah. Not me. It's like my answer. I don't know. It's like to put you on the spot, right? It is something that I wonder though.
I think what it really does come down to is like the season of life. For me, it's like I think it's a case by case thing because for my case, I think it was the byproduct of like my discontentment of where I was. Does that make sense? Because I felt like I should be doing more. Okay. And I felt that, you know, like Perth is so small, like, you know, these people are settling around me. Like I feel like I shouldn't be settling right now. I should do more. So in a way, maybe that was a byproduct of that. I don't know. I'm not too sure. But yeah, I guess coming back to when I realized that, like, oh, you know, that once I found that contentment, that loneliness kind of faded. So that's why for me, I feel like in this situation, that was the issue. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe loneliness is just the umbrella, but there's something underlying.
I mean, that's pretty big, though. That's pretty big because you went from a position of loneliness and you transitioned through this whole journey, which was long. And I mean, you know, that's your journey to share. But then you actually arrived back in the same spot, but everything had changed. And I feel like that's huge. Like, I feel like that's genuinely quite big because something would have had to click, right? Because otherwise you would feel exactly the same since you're with the same people in the same environment. And you think it's this contentment thing.
Yeah, 100%. I don't know how to explain it, but yeah, just a few situations or things I had to go through this year has helped me feel, I guess, free. I feel liberated.
Yeah. And that's affected your relationship. So now you feel less lonely.
Yeah, I don't fixate on those things. I guess like what doesn't help is like when you start thinking about those things, like, oh, they don't have time for me, or like, you know what I mean? And then that makes you feel more lonely. But I don't know. I feel like, to be honest, this podcast has helped me a lot as well.
Yeah, sure.
Like me taking the reins and mostly doing all the filming, editing has helped me like, I guess find, I don't know, it's not like purpose. I guess it is purpose. But I guess it makes me feel good, you know. It's like I'm not like having all this spare time to like twiddle my thumbs and be like, oh, I don't have friends, you know, because I do have friends. They're just busy, right? But when they do try to make the time, and I see it. But yeah, I don't know why it doesn't bother me as much anymore. I think all I can say is it comes back to that contentment.
Okay.
How do you get there? Well, I don't know how to tell you because I think for everyone it's different.
Everyone's waiting for the answer. Yeah, but I get you.
How I got there was just, I guess, having conversations with people, like having hard conversations with you. You telling me things that I didn't want to hear at the time, but looking back, I'm very grateful for because I needed to hear that.
Sure.
And I need to like think about it more, and it gave me a bit more perspective and things. Talk to people, my friends about it. And then I think, you know, well, what's my desire? Like, is it my desire? Do I feel like, what is this? You know, moving to Melbourne, all that. And then it's just doing my time with God.
Right.
And then from there, that's where I got my second wind. Yeah, I don't know. I think that's what happened to me. It changed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Big time.
I mean, you know,
Big
it's
time.
not you or anything else when it just happens, right?
Absolutely.
So, that's the miracle of
it
my
changed
life
a lot
this year.
though,
Yeah.
which is cool. I mean, I think it gives hope. Maybe I can say that for anyone who's like watching this, going, my situation sucks. I'm lonely. I got no friends and stuff. Like, I look at Jaira, man. Like it could be something perspective wise, right? It could be a way you see things. It could be. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe a lot of I wouldn't say yours wasn't really insecurity, but it was like a lot of the situations you just build up yourself almost, right? Like to the point where, you know, yes, your friends are busy, and that was true, and that was always something you got right. But it wasn't busy to the point where it's like, oh, well, I'm not important, right? Like, and that probably was what made you feel a bit lonely. Yeah. You know, but it's like they're busy. But man, if I ask them to hang out, or if I actually like, you know, say, hey guys, like I'm a bit lonely and stuff, it's not like they're not going to be thinking, oh, Jaira, just go away, you know, sorry, I'm busy, man. Like, can you go do your thing? They would have jumped at the opportunity to like spend time with you or to like get involved in your life and stuff like that. I'm sure you can see that now as well.
Yeah. But getting to that point where I could say that to them and ask and initiate, it did take a while because I'm not like much of an initiator. I'm too chill. I just like wait for things to happen. Oh, we're gonna have dinner. Okay, cool. Well, I don't normally organize, and that didn't help as well. You know, and that kind of made the loneliness seep in more. You know what I mean? So I don't know. Like, it's not like I had severe loneliness, but it's like I guess everyone has a degree of what kind of loneliness that is, and I know there are people out there that crave something. You know, like they want more out of their friendships. How do you get there? Well, I guess it's really just digging deeper. Hey, like there's no easy answer. Like, I mean, going back to what we're really talking about here, which is like those friendships, because I mean, like we were just digging into my own personal journey, but it's not like that for everyone.
Correct. Yeah.
So we're gonna talk about, I guess, like that part in particular. Yeah, I think it's easier said than done. But there's no secret formula.
No.
Hey, like it's how we got here was how I got where I am with my friends and stuff is because they're open enough to talk about certain things.
Yeah.
You know, and like I guess my setting, I mean, using myself as an example, back in my other groups in the past, is like we don't really talk about those things, or no one really initiates it. So I guess from my nature, it's like, oh, since I'm not an initiator, and they're not gonna talk about it, then I'm not gonna talk about it.
Okay.
You know.
Yeah.
I guess it's more prevalent in guys as well.
It is definitely 100%, 100%.
I guess guys growing up, like Nick and I have been friends for like almost like, I don't know, 13 years or something like that, right? Some time.
Long time.
And only in the last 2 years have we really like, you know, had like a deeper friendship. Like we've always been good friends, but it's always very like, we don't talk about those things. We don't talk about this and that. We just joke around mostly. And now it's like, well, we're actually talking about things that you know, that is deeper in us. Our opinions, our thoughts, we can be a bit more real. I mean, like, look, I know Nick is always trying to be like, he's kind of holding back because that man can be blunt. And it does hurt because I'm a sensitive guy. So I think he just knows that, and he does it like, you know. But it's, when you talk to them, like, there's this game, right? Really good game, which I suggest.
I know this one.
No, 100%. All right. If there's any, okay, well, I don't talk about formulas, right? But if you really want to get to know your friends, get the
We're Not Strangers.
We're Not Strangers.
Like
the Friends edition.
Yeah,
like,
that's
trust
good.
me, guys.
It is
Like
good.
your friendships will like go somewhere else.
Yeah,
Like
shout out to Joven for introducing
shout out
me
to
that
Joven.
game.
Like literally, like our every time we play that game, it goes on for ages, man. And like it's good talk as well, and it's like it forces us to really like open up.
Okay, so that's interesting for me.
Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting for me, right? Because like I'm a bit old school, yeah. So obviously these cool little card games went around when I was growing up, but we used to do that quite naturally. This is what I've noticed. Yeah, this is kind of what I'm trying to get at. But now, and I'm not saying that the game's bad or anything like that. I'm very grateful for the game, and I'm very grateful for the times I've played it. It's been pretty awesome, actually. But it's almost like we don't really have those conversations anymore. You know, like a lot of the questions that are in they're quite deep. Okay, so I'll tell you. One of my friends, we were playing this game with a couple of us. Like, I can name these people, right? They're like, it doesn't really matter.
It's
like,
up to you, man.
Oh yeah,
It's
sure,
your
yeah,
discretion.
it's cool. So like, Bunwai, Joven, a couple of the guys on the church staff team, and their wives. We were all playing this game, and so Bunwai, who's one of the staff members on the team, his wife pulled out a card, and it was weird. I didn't really see it coming my way because I was like, it's such an easy question. But the question was like, how are you? Really? Question mark. Yeah. And it's not like one of those like, hey, how you doing, man? Like, because that's an Australian greeting, right? When you go up to someone, you're like, hey, how you doing? You know, like, how you?
They're already like,
how you going?
on the other side of the room
exactly.
before
Oh
you
yeah. literally, the response is the question back. How you going, man? Oh yeah. How you going?
Yeah,
it's like, okay, cool.
Yeah,
it's like no one cares about answering the question,
They don't
but
wanna
this,
hear it, yeah.
right? Exactly. But this one was phrased in the like, how are you? Really? Question mark. And she asked me that question, and I didn't see it coming. I thought she would ask, someone that she was a bit more familiar with, because at the time, Yvonne, her name's Yvonne. Yvonne and I, we hadn't really talked too much and stuff, but she like darted me. She really like stuck that question on me. And yeah, like it forced, I'm not going to go through my answer or whatever, but it did force me to give an answer that I perhaps wasn't
expecting to give.
Yeah, like, I was ready to go, I'm good, but it was crazy because like when I had to sit down for a second and go like, okay, well, I guess I can't just give you the, I'm good, like, because it kind of cheapens the game a bit.
Yeah.
So I sat down and I was like, in a word. And I remember the word, I'll share it with you, but I won't share why or whatever. But like, I remember I was like, I'm frustrated. Like, and I went into like some like 10-minute tirade about why I was frustrated after giving that response, which was crazy because I was like, I didn't realize that I was actually that frustrated. But the point that I'm trying to make is that games like this, it's like, why aren't they normal conversations almost? Because it's conversations with friends, like intentional conversations with friends like that really build a level of relationship that like will carry you far.
Yes.
Whereas I don't know, you keep lounging around playing games together and stuff like that, and you do activities together and everything, or you isolate yourself and you're always talking via Zoom. I just feel like, I don't know, something something kind of goes. It's like, you know, there used to be a phrase, I don't know if it's with you, like you younger guys now, but we used to call like DNM, is like deep in
Oh,
me.
yeah.
Yeah, DNMs.
I mean, heart to heart, DNM.
Yeah, heart to heart, DNMs, like, you know, those kind of conversations. Like, we literally used to message people and go like, hey man, you want to go out for a DNM? It's like this guy messaging another dude, you know what I mean? Like it was like a guy messaging a guy, hey man, I want a DNM, you know, let's go out and have a chat. Right? Like, let's have a heart to heart. Like, I've got precious few people who actually message me about that kind of stuff nowadays, right? Like, it doesn't happen anymore, but it did back in the day. So I'm just not sure if we're not having the right conversations anymore, even if and we need a game to kind of bring this stuff back to us.
Yeah, like we shouldn't even have to have that game. It should be natural.
In a sense, yes. But I mean, you know, credit to the game.
Yeah, because they're bringing back something
creator.
good.
Yeah, like sponsor this channel if you're the game creator watching this. But you know, like it's
by any chance.
by any chance. But you know, it's a brilliant game, and I'm not saying I'm very grateful for the game because it gives us this opportunity, right, to facilitate these conversations in a non-awkward way. Because you can't just sit at the table nowadays and go like, hey man, how you really? You know, like people are like, oh god, it's too much. But if it's in the context of a game, it's almost like people are forced to let their guard down, and everyone goes like, oh, okay, you know what? It's a game. Let's play the game, and you like let your guard down. But if not, it's almost like, hey man, how are you? You know, how are you really doing? It's like, why? You know, what are you trying to do? What are you trying to ask? Don't know. Yeah, that's my thoughts about it. But
I don't know. I think if anyone's apprehensive about this game or like talking deep and stuff like that, I credit to most of my growth this year to like conversations like that is because like I guess you hear from other people what they see or like what they observe about yourself because you can only really see so much. Your blind spots you can't really see, right? Like, you know, like you got people looking at you from a different angle, and I think one of my questions was actually like, oh, what do I need to hear right now? And that was crazy, I hate that question, man. Yeah. Like it went around. It was like almost an hour. Everyone went through it, and then it brought up some interesting things that I didn't think about myself, and it made me go and
because other people have to answer that for you, right? Yes, which is crazy. That's wild, right?
Yeah.
And
it was during that time where someone said that there's some sort of emptiness about me, and that was also when we talked about that contentment and stuff like that, and that's how I figured that out.
Okay,
and it was to credit to that. You know what I mean? It's like those kind of conversations. So I just wanted to put that out there.
Yeah, I mean, but you know, for me, I do wonder like why are we not having those conversations? You know, like why? Yeah, outside of that game, I haven't really had conversations. Like, is it because we don't know what questions to ask? Is it because you know, like
how to be
vulnerable? You don't know how to let your guard down. I'm not sure. I don't really know what's going on, to be honest with you. But all I do know is that I feel like the quality of friendships without conversations like that and without actually going through hell together, like shared experiences, right? I mean, how can you expect to build deep relationships off that? It's like a tree, right? You know, a tree. I mean, there's this famous tree in California. I'm not going to preach again. I'm just going to give you this illustration. Free seven. Here you go. But you know, usually a tree that's bigger has deeper roots, right? Okay. There's only one exception to this rule, and they're the giant. And they're some of the largest trees in the world in California. They're called redwood trees. You can go look it up later. Their roots actually are quite surface level, but what you'll find is that redwoods grow together, and their root systems intertwine, and that's how when the winds blow and the storms come and stuff, these trees, massive trees, you know, like couple of, go look it up. I'm not, going to look it up now, but very, very tall trees. I've actually been to California and seen these redwood trees before. They grow very, very big, and they're huge trees. So it's a wonder why they can stand so strong when the winds blow and stuff like that. And it's because all their root systems are kind of like interlinked. And for me, it's a beautiful illustration of relationship and friendship, right? Yeah. It's like, look, if you're not going to grow your roots deep, right? Like, then at least you have to build a network where you're, kind of intertwined together, and you're building this network of friendships so that you yourself as a person can be challenged and grow more and grow higher and taller and stronger. But you're not only going to be able to do that when you've got like-minded people around you and everything like that. If not, you are almost inevitably stunting your growth. Like, without deep friends, without good people who will because only a good friend's going to call you up on stuff, right?
Yep.
Like if you do something, who's going to call you up? Who's going to be the first person to call you up? It's going to be someone that cares about you.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, what do people do? They'll just gossip. It'll just make the rounds. Yeah. You'll find out last. But a good friend will find out and call you straight up on what's happening. So it's necessary to have these kind of relationships. Don't really know how people are getting on without them, to be honest with you.
Maybe people are afraid of hurting people's feelings.
Yeah, all of it. Being judged.
Losing that friendship.
Yeah, losing that friendship. Not really. I mean, but and that's true. That's a really good point, because I think a lot of people bring up like, I don't want to put so much, because what if it doesn't work out, right? But I mean, at the end of the day, relationship is all about risk. Like every relationship is about risk. Every relationship inherently involves risk, and if you aren't willing to take risk in a relationship, then there's no reward. You will not ever build a relationship that's deep or that's profound, because you were never willing to risk it. And by risk, I don't mean like do something stupid. I mean like even in the context of a platonic friendship, risk is an ask a deep question. Or share something that you're going through. Be vulnerable about the situation you're going through, how you actually feel. Yeah. Communicate it to someone else, and or cry, or display emotions around another person that you're actually trying to build a relationship with. Yeah, I feel like a lot of people just kind of back out of that. I've chatted to a lot of people who just want quick relationships, just almost like instant relationships, and it's kind of why I feel like relationships end up so shallow, because you want an instant I want a best friend now, It's not going to happen. Like, it's never going to happen, It's one of those things where if you want a friend who's going to stay with you for life, right, that takes years. Like, I don't think I've ever met a person who's like, we're best friends overnight, right? Like, it doesn't happen. You can call yourself whatever you like, but at the end of the day, these relationships, when you call best friend, I know it's like a bit of a childhood kind of phrase, but those relationships and friendships are tested by fire. They have really gone through hell and back, and they still stand. They've gone through conflict there where you have personally disagreed with them and fought with them, and there's animosity between you two, but you somehow make it through. These are the kind of relationships that last and become those best kind of friend level relationships. Without those shared experiences, it's tough. It's tough because you don't have enough interaction to know how that person will even respond. That's my thought anyway.
When do you know when like it doesn't work? You know what I mean? Like when it's not worth doing all that, you know what I mean? Like when it's like putting more harm on you or whatever.
Yeah. For me, the answer is you never know. You never know who's going to stab you in the back.
Yeah.
You never know who's going to talk smack about you. You never know what they're going to think. At the end of the day, you pray and you trust your gut and you go for it, and like if it's meant to be, then it'll happen, right? But pick good friends, because there are a lot of people out there that I would tell you, just be careful who your friends are, because they shape you, right? And not everyone's trustworthy. Not everyone's a good person, in my opinion. Like I've met a lot of pretty crappy people in my opinion, and a lot of people who have hurt me and I've trusted wrongly. But I think you never know. I'm just as grateful for them as I am for all the good friends in my life, because if not for them, I would never have figured out the kind of person that I don't trust and I don't get along with. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
you gotta like try things out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I don't think anyone's ever had 100% hit ratio. Like, every friend you've made is just like the best friend ever, right?
Yeah.
You can't. That's not how it works. Yeah, and like what you said before, timing, seasons. Which season is a person in, and what are they going through? That dictates everything as well. Imagine catching you in your bad season, as opposed to now. You're a different person.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and two individuals who would interact might say two different things about you in that season. So it's timing as well. And I guess for a Christian, that's why it comes down to just God's timing. You want these kind of friendships. Yes, you got to do the work, but you got to pray. You got to trust God with the timing, and you got to look around you to who He's already placed in your life as well, right? Because it'd be quite hypocritical to go out search for all these new friends and stuff. But then, you've got good people around you. What's happening with them? Well, that's my thoughts, though.
Wow, yeah, that's good. Yeah, good answer. I like that.
Thank you.
Cool. We'll keep it there. I won't say anything because I don't need to. Yeah. Wow. Okay. But yeah, I guess we keep going back to it, and I guess I don't know. There's no one answer fix all kind of thing. Hey, it's like, but I guess if anything, if people listening in and like, what's the answer, whatever. It's more like I guess try to have these conversations with your friends.
Yeah.
And if you feel like you can't have these conversations with your friends, maybe branch out a bit and try to find people that, that could be that panic button. There's people that, the ride or dies,
That's it. Yeah.
Because, like you're going to need, like when you continue this journey of life, you're going to need stronger friends and stronger
100%.
roots as you keep going up, because
100%.
the wind's going to keep blowing and it's just going to get more and more like strong. You know what I mean? So you're going to need people to hold you up, hold you down.
Life gets tougher, friends. Spoiler alert.
Yeah, it does. I mean, like I can understand that like there's a bit of a transitional period from high school to uni where some people just keep to themselves, just go to uni, go home. They don't really socialize.
Yeah.
Architects, I know that they're keeping their rooms and they're just like focused on their assignments and stuff.
Yeah.
And there's these factors I know, but like I think it's very important as well to prioritize your friendships. I mean, not saying that people don't do it, but just don't neglect that, because when you finished your degree, then what? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think my issue before was not establishing like a solid group of people. So moving into this new church that we're in now, that was all on my mind. So I'm glad that I finally got there after like 2 years. But yeah, you know what I mean? Like you have to be pretty...
How long did it take you to
2 years.
No, like 2 years?
About
That's
2 years,
that's a solid amount of time, right? That's,
dude.
That's not a short. That's not instant by any measure, right?
And even in that time, I was feeling lonely.
Yeah.
But that again is a different issue altogether. I mean,
so would you
it's
say you got to
byproduct.
just, if the good people out there are listening for advice, maybe you just got to push through? Maybe you've got to just state what you're feeling to the group.
You just have to. And if they, I mean, really it's up to them how they take it. Like it could go different ways. It could be like, wow, I'm glad you opened up to us because now that kind of opens up the room. Or if they don't open up, then, maybe I should turn my focus somewhere else. It's like what John was talking about just then, like, try things out, see what fits.
Yeah, absolutely.
So.
I'm with you on that. I feel like if we were to give some advice, because it's not like I came here pretending like I know the answers or whatever like that. We don't. We definitely don't.
Conversation. We're figuring it out as we go.
We're figuring it out as we go.
My train of thought and stuff, So.
But I think that if we were to say like, if there was something that we could offer from my side anyway, I agree with Jaira. I think that friendships, we underestimate the value of communication and we overestimate the value of chemistry. I think sometimes you think that's good. Write it down.
Reeling that down.
But I feel like one of the reasons we do that is because we watch all these sitcoms, we watch all these shows, and we expect like, we'll just get along, right? When I meet the right person, I'll know. Like we'll just click and everything. But why I say we underestimate the value of communication and even underestimate the value of conflict as well is because we aren't willing to fight for these relationships, right? Like, so we always want, if I don't get along with you at first glance, if we don't have heaps to talk about, if we don't like naturally click, it's over. Like, and you just write that relationship off. It's like, I don't really get along with you because we don't have lots in common. Lots in common is important and chemistry is important. Don't get me wrong, but it's definitely not the be all end all of relationships. Like, I don't have a lot in common with most of my group of friends, to be honest with you.
That's the same.
But I mean,
there are some that,
but not, you're not mirror images of each other, that kind of thing. I'm looking at that group. You're the only Jari in that group. You know what I mean? It's not like there are two Jaras or, these guys are always like hanging out. They're always, it's not. But I think where I say we underestimate the value of communication is we're not willing to talk things through. We're not willing to find out deeper levels of connection or meaning that each of us may have, like worldview, belief kind of like level things. We're not willing to fight and go through the longevity of a relationship in order to actually kind of grow something beautiful and strong. It's this, I mean, I know I preach a lot about this and I'm quite against it, but it's this whole society of just like instant this, instant that, right? And I feel like we may have accidentally applied that to relationships too and expected something up here from relationships that are instant, which is not realistic at all. Do you know what I mean? Like, I feel like a true good, again, I'm speaking from experience here, like for my relationships only, like all of my significant relationships, I've fought with them. Like we have been through some serious stuff together and we've even fought against each other and we've had fights, but through the years, we just kept talking. We kept asking good questions. We kept challenging each other. We kept asking, hey, how are you like actually doing? Like constantly kept asking these level of questions. And now if you look at us we're tight as anything. And it's like we know each other's answers. There is that chemistry, but it came out of constant communication. It wasn't this expectation that we applied to the relationships that just kind of blanketed them. It was this constant communication and even conflict and stuff like that that led us to this point of chemistry where now I can look at a person and tell if they're okay by just looking at them, their body language, everything like that. Whereas before, I could not have started that way. But that's probably where I'm coming from, I guess.
Dang.
Yeah.
That's made me reflect a bit, John.
Yeah, so good.
As you do. You always had that effect on me.
Yeah.
Just thinking of just thinking on a previous relationship, if I quit too soon, if I threw in the towel too quick, maybe we needed to go through those battles, which I felt like we kind of did, but I don't know.
I mean, I'm not saying,
Yeah, I know.
you get what I mean,
I'm
right?
just
Yeah.
reflecting, I'm always thinking, did I make the right decision? And I still don't know the answer, to be honest with you.
Oh, bro, you're not alone. I've got relationships
Right,
like
so
that.
it's tough. I don't know. Okay, let's just say we'll end on this.
Yep.
Okay. Maybe you might not be expecting this kind of question to come out. They're watching, listening, you here as well. But for those people that are listening in and hearing about the way that you've gone about with your relationships, you've gone through these arguments, but you still kept that communication and stuff like that. But what about for some of us that have gone through that, but then have called it quits before we can even get to that point? How would you possibly even think about rekindling that relationship? Because for me, I honestly think for my situation, it's a bit too far gone at this point.
Okay.
So I don't know, if I were to rekindle this, or anyone that's listening in, how would you go about it?
Look, I would say this. I'm going to bring it back to the whole risk reward thing, yeah? And I'll add this kind of as well. It's never too late to rekindle a relationship, yeah? And you're never too distant to actually attempt a rekindling as well. So I don't feel like anyone anywhere is at a point where it's like, there's zero chance of me rebuilding this relationship, right? At least there is a 100% chance that you can make an attempt. So if you just make an attempt, you reach out, you put yourself in that risky, vulnerable situation and it doesn't work out, hey, you've done your part and you got your answer as well. But at the end of the day, if you feel like there are these relationships out there that they're really risky relationships, you're not sure if they'll just ignore you. You get the blue tick of death, right? But it's I think there's nothing that's stopping you from reaching out to try and rekindle that relationship. You never know. You actually never know what might happen. And I can tell you personally, it has happened to me before. These people I've not messaged in a long time, and I'm like, I don't know if they think I'm just using them or trying to get in touch for something, but screw it, whatever. I message. So I send the message and I get a great response. Hey man, I haven't heard from you in so long. What have you been doing? What are you up to? Let's catch up. We haven't caught up in a while. And one of the friends that I'm regularly in contact with now actually started from that.
Wow,
we didn't have a falling out, but we were good friends and then we just never talked.
Yeah.
And so I was like, you know what? Let's just throw out a message. And it turns out that I was on their mind as well. And they were always wondering why don't we catch up anymore? Why? It happened actually because we looked at the chat, and if you look at our WhatsApp chat, it's only happy birthday messages. It's only and that went on for 3 years. Yeah, just happy birthday, man. Happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday. And then they actually had the courage to message me 1 year after they wished me happy birthday, and we're like, what are we doing? I love how we just keep wishing each other happy birthday. And that was what prompted me to go, you're right. Let's actually do something about this. Let's actually catch up. And it was great. It was seriously really good. I got to find out what they were doing, beautiful things happening in their life, and now we're actually in touch again. So if that's you and you're that position, you've got these relationships, hey, it's never too late. Just reach out. But most importantly, if you're looking for friends, good friends, don't look too far, don't look too far from the people who are actually around you already, especially good people. You can always tell if they're good people, right? If they're good people, build those relationships, fight with them. Let time invest in your relationship as well. And I feel like time and conversations and challenges and conflicts all build up to this point that we call chemistry, which is where all of us want to be, right? At the end of the day, we have great chemistry with our best mates. But it takes serious investment. It's nothing don't forget the whole instant culture. It really doesn't work like that. But that's what I would say.
Nice. Also, one last thing.
Yeah.
I feel that with the whole fighting with your friends and going through those things, is it right for us to label that's every friendship should look like that? Or not like it should, but would you be expecting that? Because I feel that maybe not all relationships are like that.
Yeah,
and they
it's
can
true.
still go through battles together.
Absolutely.
So what I'm saying is that it could look like that, but it could also look like this.
Yep.
So don't just think,
Yeah.
my friendships don't look like John's friendships.
No,
They're not friends.
no.
It's not like that.
I'm
okay?
just an abrasive person, so you're like, if you're in a relationship with me, we're gonna fight, you know, like. But that's, I think Jara's right. That's very me. I think some people are a lot more gentle, a lot more chill, a lot more calm, and there'll be less abrasion and less conflict as a necessary part of the relationship. I think it's just for me, for whatever reason. Like, I think conflict is an important part of it for me. It's like, if I can fight with you, I know you can challenge me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, that's totally right. Jara's totally on point with that. Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, thank you, John.
No good, bro.
Very good points today. I feel like with you, I mean, with anyone that we have on, but especially you, I feel like we could talk for ages.
Oh,
man.
for sure.
So,
We can keep going, bro. But yes.
yeah, you know,
It's like, you guys are getting
all,
tired.
all good things have to come to an end.
That's it.
But do you have any
That's it.
last words to say to the people, or you're happy?
No, man. I mean, I'm happy, but subscribe and like. Okay, this is important for us. Yeah, so support this channel, subscribe and like. Yeah, tell your friends to subscribe and like. There's some good stuff described in this channel. Go watch the previous videos as well. Help us work the algorithm, and let's get this company, let's get this brand to where it's meant to be.
You're making me blush, John. Okay. Well, guys, thank you again for tuning in. We appreciate you. We love you. The boys love you too. Nick and Ethan. I'm here on their behalf as well. So, guys, as always, take it easy. Do something for yourself. Go plant those deep roots and get some good friends. Or invest in the friendships that you have already. And as always, stay fresh.
Stay fresh. Sorry, I was like, what's up, party people? There. Stay fresh, guys. I was like,
We just started again. All right. Okay. Cool. All right. Peace.